We're going to talk about kids for a minute.
Yes.
Right? When we started Finding the Family, Deborah, was kids like my thing?
No.
I think I told you, Deborah, you handle the kids. I'll talk to the adults.
He did.
But anyway, we've realized over time here at Finding the Family that, we've always been about the family, mom, dad, and the kids, or mom and kids, or dad and the kids. And that's our goal. And we've really been pouring into the mom and dad, not that we've left the kids off to the side, but they haven't been as much of the focus as mom and dad. Since we started Finding the Family in 2013 or 14, we've had 18 kids that have come through the ministry. The reality is that not all of the parents have been successful as they come through. And as we've watched that, we watch the kids suffer from that.
Yeah.
And I have my heart breaks when I see that. So kids haven't really been my thing, but as time's gone on in this ministry, I've just fallen in love with these little kids and realized that we need to pour into these kids more.
You know what really triggered it? It was our first single mom that went through the ministry, and she had a lot of behaviors that she was working through her children with. So in the morning, sometimes it took her a long time to get those kids ready for school. And so one would run up, she'd get little Christian ready, and he would run up the stairs and he would have oatmeal and Bible reading with Mr. Chris while she tried to get Noah ready. And Sydney really she poured her heart out in trying to get these kids on the right path, but she needed the support that we were giving her. The problem we started seeing then even was that she had to take those littles to a daycare. The daycare didn't know how to handle the children who had trauma because of their past.
We just felt like God was telling us, you need to start a daycare for these kids that come through here, so you don't have to send the kids out, and they're able to stay here on the property, and that we can pour more into them and give them that extra attention that they need.
So Chris started calling it children's ministry. We need a children's ministry. Yeah. Deborah, we need to create a children's ministry here on the property.
Yeah. So the problem with that was we didn't have the facility for it. We didn't have
a children's minister for it.
We didn't have the people for it. So we began to pray.
Yes,
right. So we began to pray about the children's ministry and just really felt, God, we need to really pour into these kids, and you know that. And so send us someone to help us with that. God, we need a facility. At the time, I thought I'm going to have to build a building up on top somewhere and start this daycare. And we've been going to our board and saying, hey, we really feel like the Lord is leading us to do a daycare or have some sort of children's ministry. And so we've been praying about that, and
asking everybody to pray about it with us.
Asking other people to pray about it. Here's one time that really put that in my heart that I knew was important. We had some grandparents spend the night out here with some grandkids that had been through the ministry. And this particular couple didn't actually graduate the ministry. They didn't make it all the way through. And so the kids had a pretty tough time. And
before and after.
Yeah, before and after. So anyway, the grandparents brought those kids out here. And
she was 4 at the time that she was out here.
She was 4. And so how old was she when she came
8.
out here? So when she came out to visit, she was 8 years old. And so Grandpa went in to get him from town and brought him out. And he said that as he circled the bottom part of our driveway's a mile long, and as he circled the last part of the driveway to where we crossed a little creek, the little girl stood up and said, I'm home. Man, at that moment, I realized that these kids, even though it may not seem like it at 4 years old, that the little bit of time that we have out here is really, really important.
Yeah.
And so we've decided that we're going to have a
children's ministry.
Children's ministry.
We're not just going to pray about it. God actually started answering the prayers for that and made it possible for us to purchase a building at the top of the hill. So we are going to be opening up the Learning Center.
Yeah. We've purchased this building that's 4,000 square foot approximately, and we're going to make half of that into the kids ministry area. So it'll be daycare during the day and a place where we can watch the kids at night, where we can have people come and volunteer and help watch the kids while we're doing group or whatever. And then also on the other side of that building, we're going to have a what we're calling the Adult Learning Center. So we're going to have the Kids Learning Center and the Adult Learning Center. And we're going to have classrooms in there and a place where we can sit around a fire and talk and disciple and
iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, and just really excited about this. And then another part of it, we're going to have, it's actually a shop building. So I'll be able to help the guys that come through the ministry. Hopefully I'll be able to help them on projects with cars and building and things like that.
It started with a little prayer and talking about it, and we knew it was bigger than us, so we began to pray more. Honestly, we thought, well, we're just going to keep praying. And one day we met the one that God had already started preparing her heart, and that her name is Ellie Easley, and you're going to hear a little bit from her about her strengths and what God has called her to do. But Ellie, literally, as soon as she said, how can we pray for you? How can my husband and I and our children pray for this ministry? And I told her, well, the same thing I said to everybody. Well, you can pray for our children's ministry. And she said, your children's ministry? I said, well, it's not up and running yet. But, and in faith, I said, this is what we know God has called us to. Yeah. And she immediately started bawling, and I thought, oh, I wasn't like, oh no, what happened? I was like, oh God, this is the one. And it really was. You'll get to hear from Ellie and hear why we're so confident that not just that God has put things in place, but like only God can do, he put things into place perfectly.
Hi, I'm Ellie Easley. I am the director of Finding the Family Learning Center. I wanted to hop on here and introduce myself. I have a beautiful family. We're a blended family of 7, and we have 2 foster children, so that makes us a family of 9. I came to know about Finding the Family through some friends who were graduating the program. We went to the graduation, and I met Deb, and I asked her what the needs were of the ministry. Whenever Deb expressed to me that they were looking for somebody to lead a children's ministry, it was like time froze for a minute. And I knew that this was a God-ordained appointment. This was not just somebody's graduation. I knew that God had prepared me for 30 years to hear those words, and that was what he wanted me to do. It's such a good feeling. I have studied trauma-informed care, conscious discipline, love and logic, child development, connected parenting, connected teaching for a few years now. I have lots of experience with children. My goal with Finding the Family Learning Center is to be teaching these children coping skills, self-regulation, lots of structure, consistency, routines, daily affirmations. These things are going to rewire the brain, train the brain. We're going to be teaching these kids how to handle things whenever it gets rough, because it's a rough world we live in, and our kids need to know children are not going to know how to handle a situation unless they've been taught. We just kind of expect them to know things. Kids aren't going to know that. They need to be taught. A lot of the time people would think of children as having bad behaviors, and I would disagree. I don't think in every case this is a bad child or a bad behavior. I think these are missing skills. So what I want to do is teach these children the skills that they need to survive in the 21st century and help to raise up the next generation to be leaders. I want to teach them the love of God and who they are in Jesus, and I am so excited to do so.
So the daycare it'll be the Finding the Family Learning Center. It is not open for the public. That's a prayer for the future. But right now we have somebody who's going to come in and minister to the kids here. That's our first priority, is the children that are here, and even graduates that have graduated and they still need some place for their littles until they can find a place, later on.
So the children that have been part of Finding the Family, yes, or are currently part of Finding the Family. So Deborah, I have a question for you. Is the Learning Center up and ready to go?
The Learning Center's not up and ready to go, but there's a lot of work to be done before it is.
Yes, we do have some remodel
Yeah.
work. We have to do some remodel work. Yeah. So one of the things we're talking about prayer. One of the big things we pray for is, of course, the families that come out here and are part of the ministry. You know, it's our heart. I believe God has specific families that He wants here, and I believe even before they come, that He's preparing their hearts.
Yeah.
And our goal here is to create an environment that they're able to have an encounter with Jesus. And so I believe that there are specific people out here or out there that are supposed to be here. And so over the years, we are always praying for that next family to come. And we're praying that God will prepare their hearts for what we have to tell them and for what He has to show them, and that God would prepare the kids' hearts that they would be ready for that change that they see in their parents' life, because it can be uncomfortable for kids when they're used to seeing one thing, and then all of a sudden the parents start doing a different thing. It's like, they're like, what am I supposed to do?
We literally, when we see an application come through, I forward it to Chris's email immediately, and we both read it through it, and we both talk about it, but we begin to pray because honestly, a lot of people want the great things that they get to experience here, but it takes a special moment in somebody's heart to want the change. It's not, hey, I want to get the monkey off my back, or hey, I want to get my kids back. Instead, it is, hey, I want to change. I want something totally different. And we want that family, the ones that are ready to change. And so we pray to that end. God, send the ones that are ready to change, truly change. And He's been faithful to that.
There's a ton of people out there that need help.
Yeah.
And we're not equipped to help everyone.
Yeah.
But there are specific people that God has for out here. We are accepting applications. For sure, pray that God sends just the right people out here.
Because it's so good when they're ready.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.